Very tough.
Make that big. Make that big. That takes up the whole screen.
Today will be a day to remember for the rest of your life. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is excited to present the Heart of a Hall of Famer program connected by Extreme Networks. With over 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 47 states and countries all over the world, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans important life values like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty.
But you have to make right decisions even when nobody's watching you.
Well, respect is not just given out. It's not handed out like a brochure. It's earned.
Today, you are presented with an opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more important than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. They didn't roll out the bed great. They put the work in, on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom, in their communities. They made themselves a Hall of Famer on and off the field.
Your feet can't take you where your mind's never been.
Because you can make it, but it's just gonna take a little hard work and some effort and the drive and determination.
And today, you will learn you can do the same thing they did. You don't have to have a gold jacket or a bronze bust to make a difference in the lives of others. It's your decision whether you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
If attitudes are contagious, is your attitude worth catching?
It's integrity as well, because when you decide to pursue something and you don't quit, that says a lot about you.
Commitment to excellence. We can all aspire to be the best.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the Heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks.
There are so many people who have been instrumental to my being here in this special moment that time would not allow me to recognize. From College Park to Tyrone, from Atlanta to Detroit, I want you to know that I know who you are, I know what you've done, and I know how you've impacted me. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you. The legacy I've left behind thus far is a direct reflection of the moments my family and friends have poured into me. And by understanding that excellence alone does not come from wishful thinking or God-given ability, but one's availability to channel those wishful thoughts into action to achieve a desired outcome. In closing, I ask that you all join me in leaving your own legacy by helping to improve the quality of life for others in whatever way you can. Because moments, people, and legacy matters. Before I end, I'd like to tell you, I never was one to celebrate. But all things come from above. And every time I scored that touchdown, all I did was point up to the sky. Because that's where all good things come from. And this right here, this is a good thing. Thank you all. God bless.
All right, with that, I'd like to welcome everybody here to Paul K. Cusno High School in Warren, Michigan for the latest installment of our Heart of a Hall of Famer series connected by Extreme Networks, featuring that man you just saw on the screen, this gentleman sitting right here beside me, Mr. Calvin Johnson. My name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth Education and Leadership Manager. All right, with that, I'd like to welcome everybody here to Paul K. All right, we're good. We're back. So as I was saying, my name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth Education and Leadership Manager at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. I hopped in the car about 6:30 this morning and made the drive up here, so we're super excited to be here. Our mission at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the greatest of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. And those values we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty, all of which made this gentleman right here a very, very good football player, a Hall of Fame football player, but also made him a great person off the field. So So I'm excited today to see how these values not only helped his football career, but helped him become the man that he is today as well. Before we get started, some thank yous I'd like to pass out. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our great partners at Extreme Networks for everything they do for us at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, specifically sponsoring this program, making it available to students all over the country. Without their support, this would not be possible. So I'd like to thank our great partners at Extreme Networks. Secondly, I'd like to thank our teachers, administrators, educators, anybody that sent this out to their students, have their class tuned in today, specifically the staff here in Warren, Michigan, for allowing us to walk into their doors during their school day, interrupt their day for this awesome program. And lastly, I have to thank our students. Without you guys here, this is just two gentlemen sitting up front, asking questions and getting some answers. We're here for you. We're here for you to learn, take in what you're learning today, and hopefully each of you take away something from the program today, whether you're here with us, you're watching through Zoom, or you're watching us on YouTube. Hopefully you're going to be able to take away something from the program today. No matter where you're watching up, whether you're here, whether you're watching us online, if you're taking pictures or videos, make sure you post them out, because we know everybody's going to post this out at some point today. Make sure you tag at Pro Football HOF and at Extreme Networks and use that hashtag HOF values, and your post just might be reshared. I can sit up here and talk all day, but that's not why we're all here today. We are here to hear from this gentleman sitting to my right. So let's give a big round of applause and welcome to Calvin Johnson. Calvin, welcome. Super excited for you to be here.
No, great to be here. Great to be here.
First question we want to ask, kind of set the stage for today. We mentioned those 5 values: commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty.
Yep.
Of those 5, is there one that stands out to you more as, hey, this is what really helped me become the person I am? Or do those values all kind of work together to help you become the best?
You said the best there at the end. They all work together, but it all starts really with the first one, commitment. You know, if you believe in something, it's going to drive you to do better. You know, but at the end of the day, you have to dream. You know, you have to have a vision. And with that vision, that's just the first step. From that point, you got to commit to making that vision become reality. And with that, you got to take the action steps, the appropriate action steps to get you to your goals. So commitment being the first one of all of them. They all, like I said, they all jive together 100%. But whatever you want to do, if you want to be great in whatever it is you want to be, you first have to commit to being great in whatever it is that you want to be. Commitment is key.
So we talk about that, obviously, the idea of commitment. Can you give us an example of when commitment helps you on the field?
Yeah, for sure. And a couple of different things, man. I'll start with baseball. Baseball growing up, that was my first love before football took over. But I was in like 10th, 11th grade, and everybody knew I couldn't hit a curveball. I couldn't hit a curveball to save my life. But what did I do in that offseason? I committed to being able to hit off-speed pitches. And all we did was work on off-speed pitches. And just that little bit of commitment led to me next year hitting 12 home runs, half of those home runs being off of off-speed pitches, because everybody's like, oh, we're going to strike him out with his curveball. We're going to strike him out with his slider. We're going to strike him out with his changeup. But that little bit of commitment to focusing on seeing that ball when it's an off-speed pitch. And in reality, what did I say? I hit 12 home runs that year, but most of them being off of off-speed pitches. But it's the simple commitment, that simple drive to want to be better in this specific area.
You know, you learn all these life lessons from the game. You know, we've talked, so far just about commitment, but there are so many other values, hundreds, maybe even thousands that you could take away.
Mm-hmm.
But how has the game of football, and what were those life lessons you learned from the game, helped you off the field? And how did you apply those life lessons to make you a better person, a better man, better family man off the field?
Yeah. I think, you think of one thing, we call it perseverance. You know, all of us, we have, adversity. Adversity comes for everybody. It don't matter how little or how much money you got. There's always going to be adversity, whether it's family, whether it's your job, there's always going to be something. But the biggest thing with adversity is to stare it in the face. All right. Don't try to dodge it, because it's going to come back around. You got to push through it. Whatever that adverse moment is, like I just mentioned, I could hit a curveball to save my life. Okay, look it in the face, make a plan of action, and attack. Commit to it and take action steps to getting better. But it's really about persevering, and then you're gonna have to persevere every day of your life, every year of your life. As long as you're here on this earth, you're gonna have to persevere through your relationships. You're gonna persevere through your schoolwork. There's always gonna be something that you have to persevere through, because, like I say, the winds of adversity, they never stop. But the one thing that keeps you strong is that you stand up and you face it.
So we talked now, I want to focus now on what, what it means becoming a Hall of Famer. And I always like to ask is, now I don't know if this is a scenario for you, but when you come to Canton, Ohio as an NFL player or an NFL legend versus through that first time walking through the door as a Hall of Famer, what was that moment like for you when you stepped through that door being not Calvin Johnson, Megatron, all pro wide receiver, but Calvin Johnson, Hall of Famer?
Man, it was like being a kid, and one of the last things that you mentioned was respect. A lot of all the people that come before you, how you say everybody, you're always told to respect your elders. Yeah, respect your elders, but respect them because there's a lot of things that they've been through that you don't know. There's a lot of experience that maybe you can glean from them that you don't know about. So if you respect your elders and in tune, that elder or that person that you're showing that respect to are going to be more inclined to share with you those experiences that they've been through. So for me, when I stepped into the Hall of Fame and I was in the room, I was the youngest man in the room pretty much, and I'm sitting here looking at all the greats that actually built the game. I've been respecting these guys for since I started playing ball, since I even knew who they were. But there are still guys that I didn't even know who they were. But just because I didn't know them didn't mean that they didn't get my full respect. Because like I say, they've been through things that I haven't necessarily been through. Maybe some of them have won Super Bowls. Maybe some of them have done things off the field that I might look up to. Maybe some have been through things that I don't ever want to go through. But then if I still show them the respect, maybe they're kind enough to let me to tell me, hey, you don't want to be doing that. This is why you don't want to be doing that. So that's why it's so important to be able to show respect, not just to those that are older than you, show respect to your neighbor. Because you just don't know what somebody's going to do next to you that you can learn from. There's always this you and you. There's probably something that you two, y'all weren't raised in the same households, but there's always something that you can learn from the man next to you. All right. So it's important just to show respect. And we're in a time where respect isn't really shown all the time. We see it, and then the more we see it, people not showing respect, it kind of like it makes it seem like it's okay, but it's not, guys. Always show respect to those, your coaches, everybody in the school deserves your respect, because especially the teachers, anybody in administration, those people have been here, they're here for a reason. All right. So just like I say, just show respect to those that have come before you, because there's always something that you can learn from those.
So you get the call, you come to the Hall of Fame, you're coming during Enshrinement Week. Who is that guy that you're like, I know I'm busy, I got a packed full schedule, but I have to seek this guy out to say, hi, I'm Calvin Johnson?
Man, that's tough. That's tough because not all the Hall of Famers show up.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And I kind of take that as a slight a little bit when the Hall of Famers don't show up, because it's not showing respect to your fellow man. It's not showing respect to those guys that come in. And I get it. Everybody has schedules. There's always something. But when I got to the Hall, man, I wanted to meet all the receivers that I looked up to. Honestly, all those receivers weren't there. Some of them were there. I got to see Tim Brown. I got to see Randy my second year. Like the guys that I really looked up to, and just meeting those guys. Like I'm telling you, being a kid, I'm just all ears because I respect the crap out of them. I just want to try to, get any tidbits that they could give me. Obviously football's done, but there's life after football. So what are they doing in their professional lives that helps keep them on the up and up? What are they doing in their family lives that I could glean from that? I help me raise my kids and be a better father or be a better husband. So there's always something to learn, and don't ever get to a point where you feel like you got it all, because you don't. You'll learn real soon at some point that you don't.
Awesome. All right. Well, like we stated earlier, we're going to be taking questions from students, not only through Zoom. We got some virtual questions as well, but we're going to start with our students right here in front of us. So I said when the beginning, old school, whoever shot their hand up first, and there's already a hand up. So go ahead, state your name, tell us what grade you're in, and then go ahead with your question.
My name is Mark. I'm in 11th grade, and you might hear this question a lot, but who is the most dominant corner that you faced in your entire career?
The most dominant corner that ever lined up across from you.
What's up, Mark? I got two answers for that. And I say I got two answers for that one because I have, when I first got to the league, I got to Detroit. Roy Williams was the number one receiver at the time. And we had to play Green Bay this 1 week. And all week, Roy was like, man, we got to play Green Bay. I got to go against Al Harris. Al Harris is now the DB coach at the Dallas Cowboys. But man, we got to go against Al Harris. I'm like, what's up with this Al Harris? I played Al Harris the first game we played Green Bay, because I've always been playing Roy the whole time. Then he came over to me after I made a couple plays. And the thing about Harris, man, and what made him so dominant was his physicality. And that's a physicality that I say him first because I didn't really see that the rest of my career. But his physicality, his mindset, he's going 60 plays, and all those 60 plays, he's going to try to make my life miserable. And the way he did that was putting his hands in my face, putting his hands around my neck. Like, he got away with all that stuff, you know. But the thing that made me get right after my first year, I was like, well, shoot, if that's what I got to go against every day, not knowing that he was the only one that was going to be like that, but if that's what I got to go against every day, okay, I got to commit to being better than him. The commitment. After that, I'll give you Patrick Peterson, man. I've never seen a corner so strong, so fast, with ball skills, that knew everything. You know, he was a tough battle for me.
So, you know, I'm sure if they haven't, you're going to go home. I tell you to look this up. There's a picture or a video of you in the red zone, and not one, but two corners, not like staggered, up on the line, jamming you. You talk about the idea of respect, and I'm sure that you see that as a challenge. But you know, at the end of the day, when you kind of look back at it, it's like, you want to be confident, but you don't want to come across as cocky, and you need to stay humble. But when you see a moment like that, you kind of go, I appreciate their respect for my skill level?
When I saw it and we watched it on film, I wasn't thinking about respect at all. I was just like, man, like, we're probably going to see it again. So how do we beat it? Like, let me split them and just throw the ball up in the air. That's my thoughts. Like, how do we beat it? You know, but now looking back, I'm like, yeah, you never really seen that before. That was the ultimate respect.
Awesome. All right, we'll take another question from our students right here. Go ahead, right in front. State your name and then go ahead with your question.
My name is Dorian Crawford. I'm a junior. My question is, what is the hardest decision you had to make during football?
Hardest decision you've ever had to make?
What's up, Dorian? How you doing, man? The hardest decision I had to make during football was, that's tough. It was really probably to come back for my 9th year. I was about to retire after my 8th season, and I was about to retire just because my body just couldn't keep up. I'm 240, running like sub 4.4, hitting the ground. Your body's not really meant to take all that impact. You know, I played hard, I practiced hard. I practiced like I played. So for me to come back another season, that was the hardest part for me because, I didn't feel like it's a point in time where for me to commit to coming back to another season, to commit to all the off-season work that I had to do, the things that I know that I had to do, there's a regimen that I went through in the off-season. And I know if I could complete this regimen that I'm good, I'm in shape, I'm ready to play the game. You know, but it hurt so bad to be able to put myself through that at the time. That was the hardest part for me because, you know, shoot, you love the game. And I sat down on my dad's couch after the season because this is before I really truly loved Michigan, like just as a state and just being here. You know, I'll be on the first thing smoking on the plane after the game. I'm in Georgia, like after that final meeting, I'm out of here. You know, just avoiding the cold weather. Went home, sat on my dad's couch, and he's like, and I said, I'm like, Dad, I'm done. Like, I can't do it no more. It's not fun for me anymore because everything just hurts. And he's like, he sat there and he asked me, he's like, can you do it one more time? And I sat there and I was thinking about it. As I was thinking about it, he was like, well, since you're thinking about it so long, you could probably do it one more time. So that's the only reason why I came back. But it was hard to just come back. It's hard for me to make that decision to come back. And it's hard to make the final decision after I did finally retire after my 9th season because I had a great coach. I had Jim Caldwell here in Detroit. He was the first Black coach I've ever had from high school, college, to professional level. That's a head coach. You know, so it was a little bit different. And he was like a father figure, not just to me, but to the whole team. And anybody would tell you that played on those teams that they would run through a wall for the man. But it just, for me, just timing wasn't right. You know, so that was what made it so hard because I wanted to play for him, but my body was telling me something totally different.
Awesome. All right. Kind of got a question off of that. This is from one of our view-only schools, Moreno Junior High School, kind of talking about the idea of retirement when you felt like you were still in your prime, could obviously have gone on to set a bunch of records. Why was it a tough decision? You know, you obviously talk about being, you know, tough to get up, tough to put your body through that today. But, you know, sometimes where you know. But for you, I feel like you kind of went back and forth a little bit. So why was it such a tough decision? And did you really wrestle with after the 9th year? Was that same conversation happening over again in your head?
No, after my 9th, I knew it was done. What made it so tough was a couple of things. Like I said, I love the game so much. I love football. Like, I remember sitting in there in Coach Caldwell's office. So we played the last game on Sunday. We were playing in Chicago. So on Monday, we have our checkout physicals. So everybody checks out their lockers and everything. So the toughest part for me that whole season, and the funny thing, I would drop tidbits to some of my teammates, like, I'm done after this. I'm out of here like Kobe. You know, like Kobe retired that same year, so I'm rest in peace. But I was like, and nobody believed me. No, none of my teammates. I had like one, like maybe Joyke Bell. He believed me because he's the only one that was like, "Dang, you for real." But it was that whole season I was telling guys, and my hardest part during that season was, how the heck am I going to tell Coach Caldwell that I'm out of here, that I'm done? Because it's just his second year as our coach, you know. And, you know, I still haven't, I mean, bro, I could have 1,000 yards on a bum leg because I did it a bunch of times already. So people saw me doing that and it's like, oh, he's still in his prime. No, my prime was 1,900 yards, you know. But for me, just being able to go in the coach's office and figure out when I'm going to tell this man during my last season. So, like, my biggest thing, I didn't want to be a disruption during my last season. I didn't want the whole city of Detroit thinking about, oh, he's done versus just cheering on the team. Because I didn't want the mixed emotions. I didn't want none of that going on. So I was like, the hardest part for me, beyond just the pain and all that stuff I was going to do, was how the heck am I going to tell my head coach that I'm retired? So finally, that on Monday on checkout physicals, I went up to his office and I told him, I bawled, I cried like cried like a little kid, because it's something that you love doing for so long and it's over. And like, for me, I knew it was over because my body was telling me that it was over. And then to your point, like, did I wrestle with it after I got done? I didn't really wrestle with it because, like, shoot, I do my camps twice a year between Atlanta and Detroit. And I go to my camp and I'm doing my camp with the kids, and I'm not really doing it. I'm just showing them a couple drills and whatnot. But I leave that camp and I wake up the next morning as if I just played a full game. Like, when I wake up in the morning, like, I can't bend my ankles. I'm shuffling across the floor. That's just what it was in the NFL. So I was like, okay, doing this, like, for me, in my mind, I was just like, there's no way, if I'm just doing a couple drills for these kids that are trying to be great themselves and showing them the way, that there's no way I can go and spend a whole season, 16 games, training camp, all that, and do this again.
Awesome. All right. Well, we got some schools coming back in here remotely. We're going to go to them for some questions. And we're going to start with Sandusky Intermediate School down there in Sandusky, Ohio, for our next question. So our folks there at Sandusky, go ahead and unmute your microphone, have a student step up there, and then go ahead with your question.
How you doing?
Go ahead with your question whenever you're ready.
So why did you choose football, she wants to know.
Why did you choose football? Out of all the sports.
Yeah. So I played everything growing up. I didn't play everything because I didn't know what a soccer ball was until I got to high school, honestly. I didn't even see one down. I'm from Georgia. Like, we did baseball, football, basketball, track. So I did all four of those things. But growing up, baseball is my true love. Ken Griffey was my first favorite player. I love the Atlanta Braves. They were good during the 90s. You know, that's the home team. So baseball was it. But it was the team aspect of football that took over my love when I got to high school. I started playing varsity like halfway through my sophomore year. They kind of threw me into the fire and whatnot. Bro, I was so bad when I started varsity, guys, man. So don't feel bad if you're having some rough times growing up. But I was so bad when I started varsity. They used to call me Butterfingers. I couldn't catch a cold, all right? So that's another thing I committed to in that all season, was catching the ball. How am I got to make sure I catch everything, you know? So that was another thing I committed to. But so baseball is my first love. Started playing football, and it was the team aspect of the sport that, okay, they say everybody got to do their job on offense, everybody got to do their job on defense for you to have success. Not necessarily the case, but most guys on most of the 11 have to do their job right for you to have success. So that's the thing that took me over the hump from loving baseball so much to football, because it was such a team sport. We all were in this together. If we're going to have success, all of us have to do our job. Baseball, that's a couple of those sports, one or two guys who carry the load. But for football, everybody, as you guys know in this room, everybody has to do their part for us to have success.
Awesome. We talked a lot about stuff off the field. I do want to talk about some on the field stuff because I got some numbers in front of me that are staggering. All right. Second game as a college football player ever. You went for 8 catches, 127 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Your first ever playoff game, 12 catches, 211 yards, and 2 touchdowns. When those situations pop up, obviously your second college game ever, you're on the field, you're still that young gun, new guy in college, get to the NFL. playoffs, Lions are there, the city is pumped. How do you handle situations like that? And what goes into it mentally on your side? Obviously, we have a team, you go through practice and film and everything, but mentally for you, how do you prepare for situations like that?
I mean, that's the key right there. What you said is how do you prepare? The key is preparation. If you want to go out and play fast, make plays, those things got to happen in practice. They don't just happen all of a sudden in the game. Those plays you see me make on game day, I made all those plays over and over and over again in practice. And for me, I feel like I needed to do that. There's guys out here that don't feel like they need to practice and they just go play. I've done that because I've been injured and I've been able to go out and have a good game. But for me mentally, for me to go out and just play fast and be on top of everything I got to do, I got to know every play. I got to know all my adjustments, all my conversions to every play versus any coverage, whether it's a pass play, whether it's run play, whatever it is. I want to run that play in practice, and I got to give it full speed. I got to give it game speed in practice. That was the key for me to be able to go out and play like I did on Sunday or Saturday when I was in college. For me, I'm just like a reasonable guy. Like I know that if I don't do it here, how do I expect it to happen out there on Sunday? If I don't do it here multiple times, if I don't do it here getting multiple looks, how do I expect that to happen on Sunday? Yeah, you can go through it. Yeah, I mean, being able to visualize yourself in all these situations is key too. And if you can't practice, you have to put yourself in those situations visually. You have to close your eyes and sit there and it's like, okay, how do I want to release? How do I want to get in and out of my route? How do I want to maneuver the DB? How do I want to see coverage and make a move off that? You have to think about all these things, not only think about it, but put yourself through it physically. And the funny thing is, like, when I get to the game sometimes, I'll make a play. And I don't even remember making that play. I'm like, how did I make that play? But it's because I've done it so many times in practice that it's just instinct. So, I mean, you really got to prepare, guys, and you got to prepare like you would, like you're playing the game.
Awesome. Talk about, you obviously had so much success on the field, got the Hall of Fame, the K Jewelers Ring of Excellence you got on there, got the Hager gold jacket, but you were also on the cover of Madden. What was that process like for you? And was it like a phone call and say, hey, we want you to be on the cover of Madden? Was there an application process? What was that for you? And then to see copies and copies of this game going out with your photo on it. What's that like for a kid who, grew up loving the game?
Man, like you said, grew up playing the game in college, play the game. I mean, still play it every now and then now. But, I don't remember the actual process. I just feel like somebody told me, like, you made the cover of Madden. I don't even remember. What I do remember, though, is everybody talking about the Madden curse.
Yes.
And it just goes right back to preparation. Like, when I got the Madden cover in 2013 or something like that, everybody, like, usually the next year, you see, like, for the majority of players, probably 90% of players that made the cover either got hurt or just had a rough year. What did I do? I committed to being great that following year as well. So that, I mean, I got a new contract. I got Madden. So I'm like, okay, let me go and show the ownership. Let me go and show the city that this ain't no fluke. So I committed to putting the work in, and I mean, had another phenomenal year after that. But the key is really just, it's up here in the mind, man. Just the things that you think about, those things come to reality. So think about it like this, guys. If I'm out here thinking about who I got to play against, Pat P or whatnot, and not putting that energy into what I got to do when I see a certain look, I'm wasting that energy over here on him when I should be putting it towards a positive direction. And what we call that is just meditation. Just sit there and thinking about the things that I got to do, the things I got to do to get through my day. So let me give you an example. I used to go up and down Southfield to work. We worked at on Rotunda Drive down there in Southfield where our practice facility is. Going up and down Southfield every day, man. And before I started to practice meditation. So I'll be going down to work, somebody cut me off. I get all flustered, get pissed off and all this stuff, might want to shoot a bird, When I started to meditate, guys, and I'm thinking about the things I got to do that day, what I got to do, what I got to accomplish that day, those same things happen. They don't faze me because I'm like, okay, that don't have nothing to do with what I got to accomplish today. So when you think about things like that, guys, when you sit back in the morning, just when you wake up in the morning, it's not necessarily anything spiritual. It's great to be spiritual, but it's just really just thinking about the things that you got to do that align with where you want to go. And if you do that on a daily basis, all the mess that comes up throughout your day, somebody might say something, that stuff don't faze you because that's not part of where you got to go. Does that make sense?
All right, we've talked about the end of your career, walked in the Hall of Fame. We saw your speech up there. Want to flash backwards to the beginning of your career, and what was your welcome to the NFL moment? What was that moment that made you kind of take a step back and go, all right, I'm here. This is a little bit different than it was in college. What was that moment for you when you're like, all right, I made it?
Man, I mean, my first moment was really rookie training camp. Like draft happens, and a week later, less than a week later, you're in your rookie training camp or mini camp. And I had Mike Martz. He was, if you remember Mike Martz, he was coach down in St. Louis when they were winning the Super Bowl. It's called him the greatest show on turf. Mike Martz, man, that dude, man, he would, I mean, I was so confused when I got to Detroit. I was like, is he the head coach? Because he's the one that's cursing out everybody, you know? And for me, I'm the number one draft pick. My butt got cursed out so much. And then we were doing like, and then, I mean, go past mini camp. We get to training camp. We having 3 practices a day, maybe even 4 at the time. It's hot outside. I'm just like, what is this? Like, I thought the NFL was going to be a little bit more luxurious than this. But what it is, man, it's just the level of competition it is. It's a level of competition. You're competing each and every day at everything that you do. And not that we weren't competing on the college level, but it's just up, everything's up a whole nother level. Everything's up a whole nother notch. Everybody's a lot more faster. Everybody's a lot stronger. So you have to just up your game. I just realized very young in my career that, you know, all the things like just mentioning when I played Al Harris that rookie year, all those things I had to I had to get stronger, I had to get faster, I had to get my mind right, that I got to deal with folks just slapping me in the face. So I got to figure out, okay, I got to slap these dudes back. I just got to do all these things to get myself ready to be able to compete. So sorry, I think I got off.
No, you're good. No, you're good. No, that's a great explanation of it. Can you remember the time when you talked about, you know, players you looked up to, Hall of Famers that you met? Was there a guy in your career, maybe the first time they lined up across from you, that might be a Hall of Famer? Other players that you played against, or you're like, oh, I can't believe that so and so on the other sidelines there.
For sure, man. Playing against C. Wood. I mean, for me, you know, I was a little kid. I was like, dang, I got to play against C. Wood, you know. And then I was like, okay, how am I gonna dunk on him today? You know what I'm saying? But you know, that was the coolest thing. Like playing against. Obviously, I didn't play against Peyton Manning, but I'm playing. He's across the sideline from me. Or Aaron Rodgers, had to play him twice a year. You know, the dude was just phenomenal to watch. You know, just seeing some of those guys. He's a future Hall of Famer. But just being able to, you know, be on the field, play against guys like that, like I say, they deserve the utmost respect. But how do you give them the utmost respect? By beating their ass. And how do you beat their ass? You got to prepare, because you're not gonna go out there and just beat Charles Woodson's butt. You got to prepare. You got to watch film. You got to know what he likes to do, what he doesn't like to do. And if you don't give him that, that's the kind of respect that you got to give to your opponent when you're playing them. You can't just be like, okay, whatever, it's, you know, we respect him. Nah, how do you give him the most respect? You get into your playbook. You get in the film book.
Awesome. All right. I mean, kind of, like they're all using me today, right?
Right.
Have a question here. This is from Mrs. Edwards' class as part of Moreno Junior High School. We got tuned in today. Who's the person that had the biggest impact on your life, whether that be on or off the football field?
Man, that's tough, man. My parents, you know, I'll give you a quick story. People always ask me what's my favorite game. And you would think it's like, okay, my first playoff game where I went for 200 yards or whatnot. Nah, we played a snow game in Philadelphia where before the game, we went out nice and sunny, beautiful day like it is today. We go in, we come back out with our pads on, got a little cover in the snow on the ground. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. You know, we played the snow. Go back in, come out for the game, it's like 6 inches of snow on the ground. So we just got hit with crazy snow. So yeah, the game went on. We lost the game to Philadelphia. You know, it was fun. It was fun just being a kid out there playing in the snow. But after the game, my mom was on the way to the airport. She slipped and fell. And in that fall, she was able to discover that she had pancreatic cancer. Anybody that knows anything about pancreatic cancer, you know, it's dang near death sentence. So fortunate enough, we found out early. And I feel like, you know, it's just through timing, through God's grace, that, you know, I was playing ball at this time when she happened to have this disease to start to take over her body in the early stages. And just so fortunate I was playing ball that she was going to the airport. She slipped and fell. She went and got it checked out. Doctor told her that, hey, you got stage 1 pancreatic cancer. They're fortunately able to go and do an operation on her and be able to pull it out. She's still here with us today. But had I not been playing football, you know, had I not bust my tail, I mean, maybe I didn't get drafted number 2. Maybe I get drafted 15, and then we're not playing that game in the snow game. Now we're playing somewhere else, and she don't fall and slip and fall, and now she's not here today. So it just depends how you look at things, guys. Like for me, you might think that it might come from a certain game, but for me, it's my family. My family is the reason why I'm sitting here in front of you today. My family's the reason why I played the way I played, because the way I was raised, man, my dad raised me to do the best at everything you can, you know? And I'm a spiritual guy, and God told us to give an unblemished effort in everything that we do. And yeah, we might strive for perfection, but we're never going to be perfect, but ain't nothing wrong with striving for perfection, because you aim small, you're going to miss small. All right.
Awesome. All right. We got another question from our students who are tuned in today through Zoom. So we're going to go to Ravenna Middle School for our next question. So our students there at Ravenna, go ahead and unmute your microphone. Have a student step up, state their name, speak nice and loud for us, and then go ahead with your question.
I'm Mason Miller, and I was wondering, would you ever go back to football?
Would you ever go back to football? Could we throw the pads back on and step back out there and make another playoff run here in Detroit?
You know what, man? I'm flattered that I still get asked that question after being out the game for 9 years. You know, everybody's like, well, you're still in shape. I'm like, well, what you expect? I'm supposed to be fat or whatever over here? You know, just saying, like, I got kids. I got 3 boys that keep me active. And, you know, I work out and whatnot. But, no, I'm not going back to play the game. I appreciate the question. But, no, it's a grueling game. And another reason why I stepped away from it, because like if your mind's not all in this game, that's how you get hurt. If you're not aggressive, and you're going to get hurt playing this game.
Awesome. Well, we're in a school today, so it only makes sense that I ask this question. How has your education benefited you on and off the field? You know, we talk to students all the time. We talk about being a student athlete, how student, school first, athlete, your sport second. You can't play the sport you love if you're not succeeding in the classroom. So for you, how did education play a role throughout your football career?
Yeah, I mean, starting when I was a young man, my mom was an educator growing up. My mom, she worked she was an educator. Let me start here. Mom was a flight attendant. She became an educator, worked her way up to become administrator, principal, got her doctorate. Now she's in ministry. So just being able to see that, you know, just seeing her continuously excel throughout her life, you know, that kind of stuck to me. But give me the question one more time.
How important was your education? Yeah.
So her being an educator, my mom told me basically if I get a C, she pulled me out of my sports. I couldn't, like, A's and B's was all I could get. And I believed it 100%. I remember one time I got close to a C and she threatened me. She talked to my coach. My mom, she was not shy. She let him know, like, hey, he gets a C, he's coming out. I don't care what your rules might be, that he can get a D and he can still play ball. But my kid, he get a C and he's coming out of the sport. So me, growing up, knowing that, you know, that changed my focus from being all sport to being all about the classroom. And make sure that's tight. Making sure that I'm taking care of my studies. I got A's and B's, because think about it, guys. This ain't hard. High school ain't that hard. All right. I'm not saying that you just show up and get a good grade for just showing up, but you're going to college next. College is where it gets tough. College is really where you learn about yourself. And for me, I went to Georgia Tech. I chose Georgia Tech over a lot of schools. And the main reason I chose Georgia Tech was because I knew that if I went to Georgia Tech, that I could get a job anywhere after I graduated. That was just the thing. You go to Georgia Tech, you get a degree from Georgia Tech, you're going to get a job because people want those people that went to Georgia Tech. So I went to Georgia Tech, and like I said, man, I went to play in the NFL afterwards, but at Georgia Tech, I learned so much about myself. You know, this is the first D I got was at Georgia Tech. And that's just because school was so hard, trying to manage school, trying to play football full time. It was very tough on me, but what that did, it built a level of resiliency. It built a level of perseverance through me where I was like, okay, how do I combat this? I got to commit. I got to commit to these grades. Yeah, football's going to do its thing. Shoot. You said my second game in college, I had a huge game. It was a night game, just my second game. But that was way before I got a D in class, you know. But what I learned, though, from that perspective, from having that D in class was, yes, okay, yeah, you got to go to class, you got to be focused in. But even bigger than that, for me was relationships. And why did I say relationships? Because I got to know my teachers. One thing that helped me out a lot, and the main reason I did not fail that class was because I went to my teacher and I sought help. And she saw that level of commitment, like, oh, he's not going to fail this class because he's here. He wants to try. He's trying. He's giving effort. One thing my coach taught me when I got to college, he's like, more times than not, you're going to find yourself on the right side of the equation if you give great attitude and great effort, all right? Now, Denzel said it best. You practice BS, you're going to get BS, all right? You're not giving a great effort, and you're giving a 50% effort in practice, you're going to get that 50% effort in the game. You're giving a great effort in practice, watch what happens in the game. That stuff's going to translate over, all right? You're busting your butt in practice, you're doing the things you're supposed to do, and you're focusing. Those things are going to translate over to the game, all right? Because you're building that instinct inside of you. You're building that muscle memory inside of you to do things right. You got to do that, not just now, not just playing football. You got to do that always, all right? And it's just going to help propel you. But like I say, it starts with great attitude with anything that you're approaching and a great effort.
Might run through a wall. That was good. That was awesome. We're going to take another question from our students here in front of us. We've been over here the entire time. We're going to go over here. Go ahead and state your name and then go ahead with your question.
My name is Chris Henry. I'm a junior. My question is, I don't talk about like how getting recruited out of high school was for you, like the ups and downs, like how you kept like a level head throughout everything.
Yep. What's your recruiting process like? Recruiting wise, you know, I had opportunities to go a lot of places. Originally I wanted to go to Oklahoma. Oklahoma was big stuff right then when I was coming out. I had some issues with the coaches out there that tell me one thing and I was hearing another thing over here. So I just like, I'm 1 to 6 reason and I'm hearing 2 different things from one organization. I'm just like, okay, let me readjust. And then that readjustment, I was like, I want to be able to play at home so my family can come see me play. My family can't travel to Oklahoma every week, but they could drive 30 minutes downtown Atlanta to go see me play. So that's the main reason why I want to stay close to home. And then I'll narrow it down to like Clemson, UGA, and Georgia Tech. Those are like my final 3. And it was important for me, like I say, just to be able to have my family there. But during the recruiting process, like I said, you're going to have people approach you. Like, I mean, things have changed so much. You got NIL and all that stuff now. So I don't know when people could start approaching you and whatnot. And I can see where it can be easy for you to lose your humility or that humble bone when you having people come at you from all these different angles. But then that's just where you just need to have a good circle around you. Because fortunately for me, it's 4 of us. I got 3 other siblings, you know, and I got a ton of cousins. And I know one thing that they're going to do is they're going to keep me humble. And one thing I just know growing up, and it's probably good lessons that I learned, that every time I got all over my skis or I got a little bit ahead of myself or I started smelling myself and started feeling myself, that something bad happened. You know, not nothing like crazy bad, but like maybe like I was feeling myself a little too much and I started dropping balls or just things that stop going right. So those little bit of lessons from my family to just seeing how things worked for me when I got out ahead of myself, you know, and how essentially I was brought back to a level place. You know, that's when I just learned at a young age, like, okay, let me just keep it level, you know, take the good stuff as it comes. And with the bad stuff that happens, you know, just work a little bit harder. Not that you're not gonna work hard when things are good, but just continuously be level. Just be consistent. That's it. At the end of the day, be consistent with who you are.
All right, got another question from our students here. Go ahead, state your name, ask your question.
Hello, my name is Hayes. I'm in 10th grade. I just had a question on how was your relationship with Matthew Stafford and how did you get better communication with them and just
Yeah. What's up, Julian? You know, at first, you know, our relationship was okay. You know, he went to Georgia, I went to Georgia Tech. That's our arch rival. Like, I didn't like it. Even when he came to Detroit, I gave him crap all the time. But, you know, at the end of the day, we got to work together if we're going to try to achieve what we wanted to achieve. And at the end of the day, you just have to be on the same page when you're watching film together. You know, you have to communicate with him like, okay, what do you want out of me here? What do you want out of me here? And tell him like, these are my limitations. This is what I'm good at. This is what I can do. And when you're able to have those communications, but first, even before those communications happen, both parties got to be able to look in the mirror and know what they're good and bad at. So for you look in the mirror and you're like, okay, you're right. Not that you literally in the mirror, but on a sheet of paper, you know, draw a line down the middle, pros and cons, and write down the things you're good at, write down the things you're bad at. In that, you have to be honest with yourself of what you're good and bad at. Because with that honesty, and then you commit to working on those things that you're good and bad at day by day, you're going to all of a sudden start to see all those attributes start to level up. But it only starts with you being honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, you can't really get better. But if you're honest with yourself, for me, I was like, okay, I got to get better at my footwork. I got to get better at seeing the ball into my hands, maybe tucking it away. Yeah, there's things I'm good at. Not that you're not going to work on those things too, but day by day in practice, because practice can get mundane. Because you're doing a lot of the same things over and over. So then go to practice this day. I was like, I'm gonna work on my footwork. I'm gonna give myself 3 steps to get in and out of all of my routes. Okay, I'm gonna focus on that today. All right, today I'm gonna focus on seeing that ball to my hand and seeing it into the tuck. You know, just taking those little bit of things day by day, it helps practice not get boring, not get mundane, because you're always focused on getting on bettering yourself. All right. But you got to make that list for yourself. Make that list, write it out. Write out the things that you want to be good at. Write out those goals. Because if you're just thinking about it, if you don't put it out, if you don't profess those things and you don't work towards them, they're not going to happen. They're just not going to happen. Things in this life, man, you might get lucky at doing some things, but the things that you really want, you got to be intentional about. You got to be intentional about getting better or trying to get to where you want to go. It ain't just going to happen by luck.
Awesome. So we mentioned your career journey a few times now. 8, played 9 years in the NFL, and like we talked about, there comes that time when, it's time to step away. You step away, you get into coaching, kind of take a step back, maybe get into the business world. For you, I want to talk about your foundation. Started way earlier in your career rather than wait until after your career was over. Why was it so early for you to start, or so important for you to start that foundation early? And can you talk a little bit about what your foundation does?
Yeah. For me, my first year in my career, like, just got inundated with, like, everybody has an outing or just some kind of charity event, and you're able to see the impact that those events have on people. And for me, that's what it was. For me, I almost felt guilty, because for the things that we were doing for people and not receiving anything for, maybe their gratitude, but those things made me feel awesome inside. I felt better than what I was doing for the person, I felt like, because it's just the love that you're giving out and the love that you're receiving back. So I was like, man, we got to be able to do this ourselves. Yeah, I love supporting everything that everybody else is doing, but how do we start this for ourselves? And so my mom, she helped me start the Calvin Johnson Jr. Foundation in 2008. And ever since then, man, we've been giving scholarships to student athletes, just like yourselves, guys that are in 12th grade, about to go on to their college journey. We give scholarships. We help with food insecurity, so we feed the homeless. We take care of haven houses. Those are places where abused families, or primarily mothers and their children, go to escape whatever oppression that they're going through. We feed families on Thanksgiving through local churches that we partner with, both in Atlanta and Detroit. And then we make sure we give toys around Christmas time. So just being able to have as many touch points as we can foundation wise. But the one thing that costs the most for us is obviously scholarships, because we're giving out a lot of money. So we have to raise money to be able to do those things. But that's what gives me the most pride, because when I was a kid, my older sister received a Jackie Robinson scholarship. And that was basically for kids or students that, were showing that they were doing the right thing, both in the community and in the classroom. So my sister received that, and I saw that as a blessing to my family, because that was just less money that my family had to pay so that my sister can attend the college or of her dreams, or will go wherever she wanted to go. So I was like, man, that was inspiring enough for me to be like, I want to be able to do that someday, to be able to help kids and their families in their matriculation through college. So that's the biggest thing that we do as far as the scholarship. And we raise funds we raise funds for that through our charity golf outing, and we do a couple of other fundraisers throughout the year. But like I say, just being able to help those in need, when you have a platform such as I've had, it is inherent upon you to be able to give back to those that need it. So this is just my way of taking care of my responsibility within the community.
Awesome. All right, we got a few minutes here. I want to end up with some few questions here, but before we do that, we got some rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to your mind, we got about 15 of them. You ready? All right. First one, best football movie.
Remember the Titans.
What's your go-to game day snack?
Granola.
What's your least favorite stadium to visit?
Dang, that's so tough. There's so many of them. All right. I'll tell you this. It's Chicago, because Chicago, their field wasn't taken care of by the team. It's the city that took care of the field. So their grass was always like this long. So it's like you're running in sand all day. So as a speed guy, you hate that.
Next question. Tailgate or watch from home?
Watch from home.
If you could play any other position besides the one you play, what would it be?
Safety.
Who do you think's going to win it all this season?
I hope the Lions. But it's not Super Bowl or bust. I hate people saying that. Hey, just be happy that we're making the playoffs consistently right now, all right? Hey, I went through almost 16, so hey, take what you can get, all right?
Favorite sport to watch outside of football?
Soccer.
Favorite Halloween candy? Got coming right up here.
Skittles.
Skittles, all right. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Go-to karaoke song.
I don't have one. I don't sing karaoke.
That was my answer too. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Fly.
Beach vacation or mountain getaway?
I'm a snowboarder, so my wife might slap me, but I love being on the mountain.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm morning.
What's the best concert you've ever been to?
Beyonce at Coachella.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, last one. If you had to eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, man, beef ribs. Those beef ribs.
Awesome. Well, thank you for those. We got one last question we're going to ask, but before we do that, we want to thank all the students and staff here at Cousino High School for allowing us to be here, walk through your doors for this program today. So our final question here for you, Calvin, is, we've talked a lot about great things. Kids got a piece of paper on it. I've seen them jotting down notes throughout the program today. Piece of paper get thrown away. They forget anything they walked out here. But what's the one thing you want them to remember? If there's one thing anybody watching this program today, 6 months down the road from now, what's that one piece of information you want them to leave with today?
I guess it's not just one piece, but it's just I'll just spit it out. We spoke to it earlier, guys. It starts with commitment, but before the commitment happens, you got to dream. You got to think about where you want to be. Where can you see yourself going? Where do you want to be at when you get to be 20, 30 years old? I didn't think like that when I was a kid. I didn't think that I knew I wanted to play professional sports. So that kind of helped me act a certain way, carry myself a certain way, work a certain kind of way in order to get there. So you got to be able to visualize where you want to go. So for right now, where you guys are, visualize where you want to be at. All right. Visualize where you want to be at when you're grown. I mean, even if you do want to play professional sports, visualize where you're going to be at after that, because professional sports only lasts like a decade or so, maybe longer if you're playing 20 years like Tom Brady or Jerry Rice. But after that, there's still life to be had. So visualize where you want to go and then commit to going there by taking actions. All right. And along the way, guys, adversity is going to come. The winds of adversity are going to come. But like I say, you just got to face it. You got to know where you want to go. And if you know where you want to go, that wind it's always going to be there, but you're piercing right through it because you have a goal of where you want to be at. So visualize where you want to go, commit to it. And like I say, when you accomplish those things, set a new goal. It ain't over. I did what I want to do in football. I had to set a goal when I got done, where I want to go now, where I want to see myself at. Then I got to commit to it. All right. Okay, when I get there and you put all the good work in, like I say, great attitude, great effort, those things will help you get there. Make another goal. All right. There's you can have as many goals as you want, and goals will consistently change as you go throughout your life. But you got to just keep on setting them, all right, to keep yourself on the up and up. But like I say, two things that's going to help you get there: great attitude and great effort. Approaching those things with great attitude and great effort, approaching anything, relationships, football, classwork, great attitude, great effort. And then when you feel yourself getting into a funk, reset. Maybe you need to take a step back, put some good thoughts in your head, meditate, reset, but then just commit to the goal that you set at hand, all right? Putting that good work in. Also, just want to say thank you to all the teachers, the staff here, for allowing your guys to be a part of this. Thank you. Hall of Fame, obviously, all the things that you guys do in the community, it's freaking awesome. And guys, like I say, when we started here, just respect your elder, respect your neighbor, and just have respect for all those things. And like I say, respect your opponent by whooping his butt. All right. That's how you respect your opponent, by whooping his butt. All right.
All right.
Appreciate it.
With that, we're going to wrap up this installment of the Heart of a Hall of Famer series connected by Extreme Networks, featuring class of 2021 inductee and newest member of the Pride of the Lions here in Detroit, Calvin Johnson. To everybody here, all the students and staff in front of us, thank you so much. Everybody who tuned in online and Zoom, thank you so much. We hope to see you next time. Thank you, everybody.